Welcome to the Rising Entrepreneurs Podcast, where we feature top founders and entrepreneurs and their journey. Now, let's get started with the show.
All right, welcome everyone. John Corcoran here. I'm one of the co-hosts of this show, and every week we feature smart CEOs, founders, and entrepreneurs from all kinds of companies. And this episode is brought to you by EO San Francisco, which is the Bay Area chapter of the Entrepreneurs Organization, which is a global peer-to-peer network of more than 20,000 influential business owners across 200 chapters, 60 countries. And if you are the founder, co-founder, owner, or controlling shareholder of a company that generates over $1 million a year in revenues, and you want to connect with other like-minded successful entrepreneurs, EO is for you. And if you want to learn more about how you can belong or how you can attend a test drive to check it out, you can go to eosf.org and contact us through that website. And I am John Corcoran. I'm a member of the board of EO San Francisco. I'm also the co-chair of membership, and I'm the founder of a company called Rise 25, where it helps businesses to start podcasts, and rise25.com is our website. Our guest here today is Valerie Fenchel. She's the CEO and founding attorney at Fenchel Family Law PC. She leads this San Francisco-based law firm focused exclusively on family law, oversees a team of attorneys and support staff, and we're going to get into her whole backstory and the difficulties of building a firm while having two young babies at home, a pandemic, and new marriage, and all that kind of stuff. So, Valerie, really excited to have you here today. And I always love to ask people about what they were like as a kid and any entrepreneurial ventures that they had. And you declined to answer that question. And you said instead, what's important about me is I was an angry and emotional toddler, which honestly, I'm a recovering attorney, so I can say is probably good preparation for being a practicing attorney. But tell us a little bit about young Valerie and these tantrums that you had all the time.
Yeah, I think when I was told when I was 2 years old, I just, I think I just felt misunderstood, and I think I was very attention seeking, and I was the third, I was the youngest of three. So now that I'm a mom of two, I could kind of see how that happened, where I probably
Youngers want attention. Yep.
yeah, I probably
Yep.
didn't get all of the fame and notoriety and applause as I believed I was worthy of. But yeah, I wasn't starting any businesses. I was more internally focused, certainly as a toddler. And then, yeah.
And you said, and this is super common amongst attorneys that I've interviewed, is you said that I was more focused in doing in right and wrong and teaching my older brother about what was right and what was wrong, which is super common amongst attorneys. Like they're just really kind of focused on following the rules.
Yeah, I would just, yeah, I always believe that I had the secret how-tos of how to do something, and I wanted someone to listen. So sometimes it was like my American Girl dolls that were really my best audience.
Yeah. So you and I, same alma mater, both went to UC Santa Barbara, beautiful place, go Gauchos, and we went from there. You went directly into law school, which is not all that common. A lot of times people take a year or two off or something like that. So you're probably pretty young when you're heading over to law school at UC Davis.
Yeah, I think I was like 21. I definitely wasn't
That's young.
excited for it whatsoever. I wanted to take time off, but I just, I plunged in. I did the deep dive.
Why was it? Why'd you just keep going?
I think my parents wanted me to, and I said, okay.
Yeah. You regret it?
I don't know. It's hard to say the road less traveled, or
Yeah.
not taken.
Yeah.
I don't know what that would have led to. Maybe I would have been a degenerate waitress at a seafood restaurant and never made anything of myself. I kind of doubt it, but I don't know. I don't regret it, I guess, because I'm happy with where I landed.
Yeah.
But it's hard to say, right?
Yeah. I mean, UC Davis, top law school, like super competitive, hard to get into. So you go there, and then you actually didn't pass the bar on the first try, which must have been a bit of a setback.
Yeah, it didn't feel good. I can tell you that. I was at some kind of wine event with my friends from law school, and we were all checking our bar results on our iPhone, and my name
Mm,
just wasn't there. So I
mm.
remember talking to my grandma
Oh, so you're
later.
there with all your
Yeah.
peers? Oh, it's the
Yeah.
worst. Oh,
Yeah,
man.
but I remember my friend being like, "Well, what did you expect?" Because I really,
Didn't study.
she saw me like jogging and laying by her
Mm,
pool.
mm,
And also I don't know, I always thought I wanted to be a writer. So I was like writing these little like sample things to submit to like publications. I mean, I
mm,
was doing anything but studying
mm.
for the bar. So the second time around, I studied more and I passed. But
Yeah.
yeah, I was definitely very embarrassing for sure,
Yeah.
and made
Yeah.
me feel like a loser.
I checked my results at home with my wife. I was so nervous that day that she took me to the pound to play with puppies. She said that was the only thing she could think of that would like calm me down and get me to focus. And then we also had some friends who like a week earlier were like unrelated to the bar coming out on that day. We're like, come to dinner that night. And we were like, no, I can't do it. No, like too nervous about it. Like just we had to cancel all plans. And then I got my bar results. I passed, and then we we're like, all right, I was like, okay, all right, we'll go to dinner. Yeah, so it ended up being kind of like a celebratory thing. But I have a different version of your story. I stopped checking my grades in law school midway through law school. Did not check my grades after I think second, term of like midway through second year of law school
Yeah.
because it was stressing me out too much. And
Ugh.
because I figured that, you know what? I don't ever want to work for a firm where like they're going to check my grades and that will determine whether they hire me or not. I was
Yeah.
not interested in that. And so that was my way of kind of like rebelling against the process.
Well, I don't think checking my grades made me perform any better.
Yeah. 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 They didn't stop me from walking at graduation, so I assume that I passed my classes.
Yeah.
So you go and you graduate and you worked for an electronic discovery company for a year
Yep.
where you learned some things outside of black letter law, so to speak. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I hadn't passed the bar, or actually, I don't even think I had my bar exam results back yet. I think I just wanted to make money so I could move out of my parents' house because I was living with them in the suburbs of Walnut Creek. And I was just like, I really want to be able to afford a place in San Francisco and have fun with my friends. So
Hmm.
I got this job, and I think my law degree helped me get it, and they made me a consultant.
Yeah.
And it was fascinating. The CEO actually went to Santa Barbara, so we had that in common too.
Hmm.
But he had a fast growing company where there was no guardrails. He was just figuring it out,
Mm.
and it was really fascinating to see what that was like. But it was also very uncomfortable because there wasn't any other female consultants in his company, and it just sometimes didn't feel good, I guess.
Mm.
There was, some dynamics there. But I learned a lot as far as running a business that I didn't even realize I had learned because, I didn't really enjoy some aspects of the job. But after the
Hmm.
fact, once I started my firm, I was like, oh, wait, I
That was
know how
helpful.
to do these rules in Excel. I know how to,
Hmm.
it's like this different side of your brain that's kind of
Yeah.
fun to play with.
Yeah, that kind of so I graduated from law school in 2007 and I remember a lot of my classmates went into document review, like literal physical document review where they
Yeah.
went into a room full of boxes and boxes of
Oh yeah, I was
papers,
leading those document reviews. That was part of my job. I
but
was
when it
like,
was electronic, was it scanning it?
I don't know, I had all these attorneys sitting at desks, and
Oh,
I'd be
you
like,
did.
"Hello, this is what we will be doing today." And I would like design the workflows on this like software program. I'd have like these like exported Excels of reports and
Wow. Wow. But I mean, at least so like in the last 16, 17 years since, being at the point where it was all lawyers reading things, trying to find some clause that they're looking for to now at least scanning electronic, like
Well,
that's
Evolve
a
was
big
ahead of
change.
their time. They were
Yeah.
using AI back then, which was
Wow.
fascinating.
Wow.
Like Andy Jimenez, who was the CEO, he was really like doing cool things there.
Yeah.
And yeah, but I remember a lot of the big law firms were like, we don't know about this, but he knew it was going somewhere.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah,
like called
totally.
predictive coding or something. It was
Oh,
pretty
wow.
cool.
That's
Yeah.
really ahead of its time, way ahead of its time.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us about you end up you go and you practice for a few years and then you get to this point where you were really into watching Shark Tank. And you also
Yeah.
had a entrepreneurial fiance at the time
Yeah.
and you get this idea to start your own firm.
Mhm.
Take us back to that.
Yeah, I was working for this firm in San Francisco. It's a boutique firm. My boss was lovely. I really still admire her and think about what would Esther do, you know. But it just I think maybe I had outgrown the firm. I had brought in my own book of business and I really needed associate attorneys to help. I just wanted to run the cases the way I wanted to, I guess, where I could
Hmm.
take vacations and I wouldn't need to work through them. My mom had her own family law firm while I was growing up. My dad had his own CPA firm. I had lots of friends that had started their own family law firms, maybe like three or four. So it didn't seem like something that was impossible. It seemed
Yeah.
like something I could totally do. I just didn't know if I had the legal experience because I think I had like, I don't know, like 5 years or something. I didn't have like 10 years.
Yeah.
But
I was
yeah.
similar, like 3 or 4 years. And I found that what helped me was thinking about the fact that for generations, lawyers have like gone to law school, or in many cases didn't go to law school, like learned through mentorship and then practiced in some small town where they had no one to mentor them. And, it's only more recent days where, especially in these urban areas like San Francisco, where there's this expectation that if you're going to start your own law firm, you're going to practice for like 10 years before you do that. But I was like you, or I felt self-conscious about starting a law firm with only like 3 or 4 years experience.
What I did is I hired attorneys that had like 20, 30 years experience to
Wow.
work at my firm so that I felt like the most amateur person in the room. And that really helped me feel super confident and super excited about the level of legal services I was able to provide where clients wouldn't be receiving that at other law firms in San Francisco because I think most law firms, family law firms at least, the owner of the firm is the most experienced attorney. And
Yeah.
so the associate attorney the client works with is kind of an amateur. So I kind of flipped it and made it a little different so that I would have the 100% confidence, like,
Yeah.
I got you.
So you must have gotten good at signing up clients from the start, in order to be able to afford to hire, very experienced attorneys to work under you in this firm to give them business. Why do you think that you were good at getting clients to sign up with your firm, especially in the early years when you didn't have, 20 years of experience?
Yeah, I think I've always had this I don't know, this thing in me, I guess, where I really connect with people's dark sides and I have this like deep desire to help and to like change someone's life. I don't know. It's like a piece of my makeup or something. So I think during initial strategy sessions with clients, I step into that power and it's the way I've been able to really, help clients when I was doing the legal services. And it's the way I've been able to kind of create these workflows and templates and orchestrate, the kind of unseen part of the client's journey now that I kind of own the business. But I don't think it's bringing in, or I guess, yeah, you have to be good at bringing in business to grow your firm. But I think the choice to hire more experienced attorneys versus less experienced attorneys, I don't think that's due to the ability to bring in a firm. I think it's just a business decision because I think if you have more experienced, high caliber attorneys, they'll have a higher billable rate because they're senior level versus taking in a really amateur 2 years experienced attorney, right? You're going to be billing them at a lower rate and then they'll get a lower salary, right? So I think it's more.
Yeah. Tell us the story about so you're engaged to be married and this entrepreneurial fiance gives you the idea to start your own firm. You call off the wedding and you decide to turn the wedding into a party that's a fundraiser?
Yeah. Yeah, he was like my champion, because when you're working at a firm, sometimes you feel so spent and depleted just doing the legal work and then trying to have a personal life that the idea of having the energy and the space in your life to start a business just feels like ridiculous.
Yeah.
But he was always telling me how smart and capable and amazing I was and what I could do and what I could accomplish, kind of like poking me. So, that I think coupled with watching Shark Tank and being like, that's so cool. It made me want to do it. But I think that as I built my business and it really changed, I think, a bit of my personality and who I was and what I wanted in my life, where we stopped, rowing the same way, right?
Yeah.
So that, we weren't going to be able to have a successful marriage or family, right? But
Hmm.
so that was really hard and that was pretty soul crushing and a big identity shift for me when it turned out that I wasn't gonna be married and be on this certain trajectory. Instead, I was gonna be single again. But the deposit had already been paid for the party, and I just there's just something in me where I have a really hard time. I guess I love a party, so I didn't want to let the party go. I'm a social person. I always want to have a good time. But B, it just felt like this defining moment for me of like, okay, you're calling off this life that you always thought you wanted, like for a very long time now. All of a sudden, your identity is changing. You're not looking for a breadwinner to take care of you. And who are you and what are you about? And how are you going to change this narrative for yourself? So for me, like having it be a fundraiser to raise money for victims of domestic violence. In one part, it felt really great for me. Like, oh, I'm really creating this great narrative for myself and I feel powerful doing this. And I gave a speech at the fundraiser and all these people came. We raised a bunch of money. It felt really cool.
Hmm.
But my biggest regret was the cause, I think. The raising money for victims of domestic violence made it seem like I was the victim of domestic violence, which was
Oh.
super unfortunate. So I
Oh, so people were
deeply
like, "Oh, I'm so
I know. I was
sorry,"
like,
kind of thing.
no,
Like,
no, he was great.
no.
So that was really a miss on my end,
Yeah.
huge miss. But at the same time, it is a cause I deeply care about, and I
Yeah.
do feel like because I had the financial security, that really did weigh into me like me feeling more confident in myself, and so it really did make me have this highest level of compassion for these women that have nothing financially and are being abused, and
Hmm.
stuck in these relationships because I
Yeah.
was, I felt like I was the polar opposite and so privileged. So I wanted to do something, make something good, create something of value out of something that otherwise just felt like a loss and a waste.
Right, right. Um, so you start the firm, and about 3 years into the firm, it looks like COVID hits. And I believe, I forget the exact sequence of these things, but you also get married. You also have a couple of kids, all in a couple of years' time. This must have been a crazy, chaotic time for you. New business, fast growing, COVID hits, get married, have children. I don't know how you handle all those things at once. How do you get through it all?
Yeah, when COVID hit, honestly, I was extremely privileged. I had just started dating my now husband. My firm was already capable of being fully remote. We were already paperless, so there wasn't a lot of change. I just literally had to change in our Acuity platform, like how people book. Like it was no big deal to go fully remote. I'd been trying to get my attorneys to go fully remote, and they'd insisted on coming to the office, thinking they were like being good and doing the right thing. So finally, they could get a break and get work from home. It wasn't this big trauma that I think that a lot of businesses experience. So I was very privileged,
Hmm.
and everyone was super unhappy during COVID and wanting to get divorced. So
Yeah.
we were able to provide that for people. But I
How
think
quickly did that happen, by the way?
how quickly do people want to get divorced during COVID?
Yeah.
I'd have to ask them, but I think that,
No, I mean, like, did you experience like a lot of calls, like a month into it, 6 months into it?
yeah, it might have been that we were just able to go fully remote and really like support the consumers that needed our help maybe faster than the other family law firms in the
Mm,
Bay Area. I'm not sure. Or
yeah.
yeah, I think it was people that suddenly were stuck being at home together who
Yeah.
maybe were kind of unhappy, but then suddenly they couldn't ignore it anymore,
Yeah.
right? And it was
Yeah.
also a real uptick in domestic violence, which was really
Mm,
sad
mm,
because then these people didn't feel like they had another home to go to, right? It was it
yeah.
was it was a tough time for a lot
Yeah.
of people in unhappy marriages or unhappy
Yeah.
relationships, especially with kids during
Yeah.
COVID. And yeah, we helped a lot of those people. But I think yeah, I got pregnant. I wasn't married to my husband yet, but we got pregnant in August of 2021 and we moved to
Yeah.
a house in the burbs. And running a business while pregnant, I wouldn't recommend it, but it was fine. I got through it. And having my daughter was blissful. It wasn't challenging. But I think when I was pregnant with my son, we got pregnant again right away. So we two kids 18 months apart. The two attorneys that work for me had, planned to start their own firm. And they let me know, well, kind of, sort of. I found out, and that was really sucky because I had all this like hormones in my
Mm,
brain. I wasn't the same person, and I had to kind of rebuild my firm.
mm.
And I had
While
to go
pregnant with your second child
and
and
dealing with my
still, oh,
toddler. Yeah, and then
wow.
after having my son, it was still, in order to really find the right people when you're fully remote, it's a different muscle than finding the right people when you're all in the office. And so I made mistakes, and I was still kind of figuring it out because I was so fortunate to have these two attorneys. They're like my family. They've been with me for like 5, 6 years,
Mm.
So it was this total change, but
They both leave at the same time?
around the same time.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. What a brutal setback.
Yeah, I honestly, I never got angry or upset about it. I just said, okay, I'm gonna figure this out. I had this like post-it I put on my computer that said like, be responsible. I will be responsible. I will
Yeah.
not watch Netflix while pregnant this time. I will be responsible, But I did, and I ended up doubling my firm because I was so
Wow.
responsible. Where I found really, really high caliber, incredible attorneys that I'm really proud to say now work for my firm. So we're I like wrote this down before. We're four attorneys now because I always forget. But by the end of this year, we should have seven attorneys, and it's
Wow.
people that I just feel so grateful and like, what you want to work for?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just this
Yeah.
really good feeling. But I think that the journey of an entrepreneur doubling their business is something everyone applauds, and I was applauding myself. But I was also dealing with agitated depression after having my son, and so I think that was a big piece of why I was so productive.
Hmm.
And so this year I've really focused on stopping the crazy manic working, and I still continue to build my firm, but it's just in a much healthier way. Because after I went through this, I would see other posts about women that had like were pregnant or had babies and like did all these amazing achievements. And all of a sudden I'm like, wait, I don't want to applaud you. I want to be like, are you okay?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think there's like two sides of the story.
Right. Right. And of course you work with women all the time that where that is a story that is what you're talking about with them, right? Are you okay? What's going on? Like having those kind of deeper conversations. So it's not only natural that you would kind of like reflect on yourself and think about that for yourself. And then that would be a top priority for you.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think mental health is this huge elephant in the room that no one really wants to talk about because it's kind of sticky and awkward. But I think that, yeah, it was a huge piece of why there was uptick in divorce during COVID, right? And it's just a huge piece of being a family law attorney and an entrepreneur, honestly, I think
Mm-hmm.
in general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. You mentioned hiring other attorneys, and there's kind of in the law, there's like two different approaches. There's build up a book of business, hire some junior attorneys, fill them up, get them busy. Then there's also hiring like more senior attorneys that come in with a book of business, and then brings in a bunch of revenue to your firm, which is good. But then, of course, they get a portion of it. Talk a little bit about those different approaches and what you've tried and what's worked for you.
Yeah, I think when I was in the office, I loved having a junior associate that I could just really groom and train to behave exactly like I would want, where I just felt this ease of like, we get each other, and also this joy of mentorship, like going to lunch and just really like learning about their husband or what they want in their life and trying to fulfill that. And that was really cool. But I think since we've been fully remote, I have to be honest with myself and the people I hire that I don't have that same ability to mentor a super junior attorney. Like honestly, at this point, I'm looking for people that already know what's up, already are super gifted, experienced, and have way higher legal acumen and ability than I do. And that's kind of the bare minimum. And it feels bad to say that because I feel like as a business owner, I should be putting in more time and energy to train the next generation of lawyers, but I'm just not at this point. I think I'm wanting to hire the people, the attorneys that have that dream, and then kind of be a conduit of that dream. But it's not something I'm looking to do personally anymore. I think last year I hired two attorneys that, yeah, they brought in some business, and that was helpful and not helpful. I think, I had to be really careful with making sure the clients that came with them had would be a good culture fit for my firm, because culture fit isn't just about employees, it's also about clients, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that was something I learned. But also it made it a little less of a hustle and grind to try to
Mm-hmm.
drum up business to fill them.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't think it always needs to be the case with hiring senior level attorneys. I think it's fine to hire a senior level attorney and if they don't have a book of business, maybe they can start hourly Or maybe, maybe you have enough leads coming in where they can actually, build up within a month or so and be full
Yeah.
time. I think it just depends on the flow of your leads and, how quickly you're able to drum up, clients to fill their plate.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Valerie, this has been great. Really interesting hearing your story. Thank you for sharing it. Where can people go to learn more about you and learn more about Fenchel Family Law?
Yeah, you could follow me on LinkedIn, Valerie Fenchel. I try to post regularly and share my truth.
Mhm.
You could also email me at valerie@fenchelfamilylaw.com. I like helping other law firm owners kind of figure out their stuff. And I'm pretty passionate about, our mission of, helping our clients navigate really high stakes, complex family law issues.
Yeah. Valerie, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Rising Entrepreneurs Podcast. This episode is powered by Rise 25. Please subscribe and check out future episodes.